Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis. Today, very grateful to be joined by Craig Cole yet again. Craig, been a while since we've caught up. You just want to give my new listeners and viewers, there's a few of those now, a little bit of a brief rundown about who you are if they haven't heard our previous chats.
Thanks very much for having me on again, Nathan. It's amazing how time just flies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We were chatting off here before we started, and it's been a year since I've been on speaking about the attack on our children in the school system. And make no mistake, being a youth worker at 20 years, just for the people that have viewed me the first time. So, youth worker at 20 years, worked in the education system for 15 of those years. On an education support contract for 10 years as well too. So I've seen the system and know it well. Run the Leave Our Kids Alone campaign, leaveourkidsalone.org, kids with a Z, as a source of reference for knowledge and materials for not only parents, but people in the wider community, grandparents, anyone who is mindful of the obligation that we have as adults to protect our children. And I seen a post yesterday. I know I'm going on a bit, but I seen a post yesterday from a fellow Alex online asking a question of the wider community: is this how far society has fallen when we look for excuses not to help our children?
Mm,
It's actually sad, mate.
mm,
And with all due love and respect, and there might be a few parents watching this that I'm about to trigger. What I'm about to say over the next hour and speaking with Nathan about is not to trigger you, it's to jolt you into the reality of what is happening with your children, all under the guise of diversity, equity, and inclusion. But we'll unpack that as we go along. So
mm.
please, if you're watching this, have an open mind. Please, if you're watching this, be crystal clear that this is not a personal attack. There's a difference between personally attacking someone or something as opposed to an observation of it. Big difference.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, yeah, no, we'll just leave that for now. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's who I am, and that's what I've been doing. And if as a society we can't stand up and protect our children against all adversity, against what you're going to cop back, against the fears that you may have,
Mm,
we might as well wrap it up as a society. We really do, and hang your head in shame. You're making excuses not to protect your children.
mm. Well said. Appreciate the warning as well for those that are listening and watching too. Craig, you jumped on 12 months ago and we spoke a lot about the sexualization education, and it's under the guise of inclusion, respect for relationships. We spoke a lot about that in our first chat, which I listened to only last week when you gave me the phone call. And what's the update on all of that in 12 months in advance? Have we gotten any better? Which I don't think we have, unfortunately. I think it's actually gotten worse, which is some of the bearer bad news for that. Do you just want to give us an update on some of that stuff and some of the things that you've heard in the last 12 months as well? There might be some new information that's come to light. So I'll pass it over to you again, mate.
Yes, thanks, Nathan. There's a lot of new information
I
that's come
bet.
to light in the last year, especially. The schools are really doubling down on their belligerence with parents, their gaslighting of parents, their lack of transparency. Now, Nathan, lack of transparency is lying. It's a form of lying. And lack of transparency from teaching staff to parents regarding your children is a disgrace. You're
Mm,
lying, you're feeding lies to protect your position. Now, the position of teachers on this, even though they don't agree with it, they'll still teach it. Now, some don't, and they'll be watching this. There'll be teachers watching this saying, well, they don't teach it at my school. Fantastic. But it's coming, and
mm,
you know the pressure's already there to teach it. So if you've got a strong principle with strong moral convictions, that you're going to be okay. But not all schools have this, as we know. The activist teachers and the far left leaning teachers and have infiltrated the school system for quite some time now. They were doing so when we were both in the system, Nathan. We've both seen it firsthand. And the situation's got alarmingly worse in terms of lack of transparency, blatant lying and gaslighting and guilt tripping of parents. And I'll just read you an email I received that was late last year. And this is pretty disturbing, but it gives an overall effect of what is actually happening. And these are not, see, the fob off from a lot of people out there is, oh, no, these are only isolated incidents. These are not isolated
Yeah.
incidents. Okay, they happen far too much. I mean, gee whiz, you've seen the reports a couple of weeks ago, and this article is on the Leave Our Kids Alone site in the resources section, about the group of year 8 students at a school in Tasmania that was made to stand up and recite as a group the LGBT indoctrination and propaganda. Like, it is just, and we all know the subconscious effects of reciting and chanting things as a group has on the memory, which is great, okay, but they're using that for nefarious reasons now, okay? So there'll be people out there say, oh, what about, the A, B, C, D, that song that the kids, when you're a kid, to remember your alphabet and the times table. That's for good purposes.
Yep.
They're getting these kids to chant gendered ideology. It is just, I don't think a word actually, or a sentence actually properly sums this up, but I'll just read you this email I got, and it's pretty disturbing. Received this late last year. It was from a parent. My first encounter was at a primary, it's talking about the gender theory. My first encounter was at a primary school in Gladdysdale. Now, Gladdysdale's in the far eastern Melbourne Metro in the Yarra Ranges, Latrobe Valley, out near Yarra Junction and Warburton. There was a boy using the girls' toilet, and I was told my girls would have to use the disabled toilet if they were not comfortable using the toilets with this boy, grade 2, identifying as a girl.
Goodness
At the
me.
local, oh, mate, I know. At the local pools, a fully grown man using female change rooms whilst young kids are getting changed. All his privates were out, and there was nothing the pool staff could do about him walking around with an erection in the female change rooms in front of children, young girls. Theatre class. My girls were told to introduce themselves by name and pronoun, aged 7 and 11. They had no idea what they were talking about. The lady then proceeded to tell them that if they didn't know, they would then be them, they. It made them feel both extremely uncomfortable. But apparently that's all right to make the majority of children feel uncomfortable, because you might have one or two kids as primary school children identifying as the opposite sex. Now, the email goes on to say our children are now homeschooled, and but it really concerns her, and rightly so. Now, further update to that, that biological male who was identifying as a woman, who seemed to think it was okay to get his private parts out in front of women and young girls with an erection. A couple of the fathers went down and confronted him, and he now uses the disabled toilet change room.
Jesus.
This is an overall snapshot of where we are. So if we want to break down that the three components of that. So that first component, grade 2 girls made to use the disabled toilets because they feel uncomfortable about a boy being in the toilets, and rightly so.
Mm.
But it's grade 2. I
Mm.
mean, that's 6 or 7 years old, and they're identifying as the opposite sex. I'm sorry, that's not the child. That's the brainwashing and the indoctrination and propaganda that they've received from the daycare centres and the kindergartens to put these ideas in these children's heads. No child, and I'll argue the point with any child psychologist or any far left activist, no child sits there and thinks, oh, maybe I'm stuck in the wrong body. No
Yeah.
child thinks that. That is a grooming adult that has put that thought there. There are boys with a lot of feminine energy does not mean they are stuck in the wrong body. There are girls with a lot of masculine energy. They used to be called tomboys, Nathan.
That's true.
Well, the good old tomboy doesn't exist anymore because
No,
they're whisked away and they're told that, oh, you might be trapped in the wrong body. If you're a, you might, if you think you're a girl sorry, if you think you're a boy and like to do boys things, that you might be a boy. That you not, you're just a tomboy, you're just a girl with a lot of masculine energy. And that's the line that should be taken. Then you can embrace that. But without taking the cross sex hormones, without taking the puberty blockers, and without getting the gender affirming care, which is the body altering surgery.
yeah,
It beggars belief. And then the last part of that is when happening for a while, the girls were made to use gendered language. Sorry, non-gendered language,
language. Yeah,
such as they, them, and pronouns. All a belief they don't hold, their parents don't hold, but this is a belief to adopt this radical gender theory and use it. And if you don't want to use it, we'll enforce that you do. I mean, this
mm,
is blatant child abuse, Nathan.
mm,
And
mm.
it's the bullying in it's gee whiz. I mean, I don't know. Do you speak to a lot of people yourself about this, and you're having a lot of reports from parents yourself, or?
Not as much as I used to because I'm still currently sort of got a foot in the school system, just a little bit doing some OSH stuff. But I hear things and I definitely see things that go on. And when I was in Victoria, I definitely heard and saw a lot. And yeah, because especially the schools where I was from in Bendigo, mate, were, as you know, very much in favor of the respectful relationships and the things that we're just talking about. And I was privy to some of those things getting rolled out back then, but up more so here in Queensland, I just do after school stuff and just have fun with the kids. I don't see too much of this stuff going on, but I'm sure within that public school system up here there would be something going on, and maybe I do need to put a bit of a call out. Any Queensland parents watching this, get in touch, and I'll
Yeah,
forward you some stuff from Craig Cole.
yeah. The problem I'm having, and this is data I've collected of the last 3 years, is that the kids don't go home and tell their parents what they're taught.
No,
And
they
even if the
don't.
parents do ask, okay, then the kids are really hesitant because the message coming back from the teachers, and I've heard countless reports of this, and I know this happens. The reports that come back from the teachers are they they're sneaky bastards, these left activists. They really are. And the righteous attitude of them. That's what's even more astounding. Just this righteous belief that these people who are teachers have, that they have an entitlement to indoctrinate other people's children into their ideology.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Mhm.
The reports I get back is, and where I was going with this is, a lot of teachers out there, there's a lot of activist teachers, and if you don't believe me, have a look at the report the IPA, the Institute of Public Affairs, put out in 2021 about activism in schools. Dr. Bella Abrera from the IPA also speaks about activism in schools as well too, as well as Colleen Harkin from the IPA. They are setting it all up initially by telling your children that, oh no, if you talk about this to mum and dad, they're not going to understand because they're old fashioned and don't understand the way things are now. So that makes the child clam up and not want to talk to their parents about it. This is where parents, you need to start asking um, leading questions and specific questions of your children, but preface that by saying, letting them know that they've done nothing wrong. Okay. Because the first thing a child one of the first things a child will sort of clam up, oh, have I done anything wrong? They've done nothing wrong. And the school is actually doing the wrong thing by them. The school is really, any opportunity they get, most schools, okay, so if you're out there and you're a teacher from a school that doesn't do this, hold your breath. Um, but I would be very mindful of any relief teachers that you have coming in as well too, because they'll take any opportunity to teach this stuff to your children as well too. I've had numerous reports of relief teachers being responsible for this, and then the principal not even knowing what these relief teachers are coming in teaching. It's astounding,
Yeah.
really astounding, you know. And then we both know, mate, principals really aren't across everything that happens in the school. They're
No.
relying on their teaching staff telling them. Now, if they've got teaching staff that are glued on to this agenda, well, their teaching staff's not going to inform the principal or the vice principal at all. They're part of the problem. They're part of the challenge now. They're part of the whole problem. What I'm finding is, for a long time now, that when parents ask for the content of the curriculum that their child is being taught, all they get sent is a link to the website, education department website.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, the curriculum content's here. Okay. Now we both know, mate, there's pages and pages, there's hundreds of that, and you've got to sort through and identify and scratch your head. Which part of that's my child being taught? Now, it's a very cowardly way of and completely non-transparent and lacks ethics on any sort of level to flippantly just send a parent a link to a website address. Now, this is that easy, all right? Now, being in the schools, I know as a third-party provider, teachers have to provide the lesson plans for the term in advance of what they'd be teaching the children. If you're in Victoria, that needs to get logged on Compass before the start of the term and at the end of the term as well too. So when schools say to you, they can't give you that curriculum or they can't give that information or whatever nonsense they come up with, just sending you a link to an education department website, that is absolute nonsense, and they are lying to you and treating you with contempt. It is so easy, especially if you're in primary school. It's a little bit harder in high school because you've got to go and then speak to each individual teacher that your child is taught by. In primary school, you're only taught by one teacher.
Yeah.
They've got all the information there, the exact content, what your child was taught. In 2 clicks of a button, you can get sent that information. That's how easy it is. So any parents out there that have asked for the content, specific content, and this is the wording you need to use, because these bastards will, if you're not specific, they will use the loophole of your non-specificity, okay? You need to ask them, please send me the specific education and content that you have taught my child over the last month. It's just a click of a keyboard and they can send it to you because it's already logged there anyway. That includes any third party that's come in and taught any subject, whether it be diversity and inclusion, wellness, or whatever it is. That is to include that as well too. It is that easy. And if you're a primary school teacher, it's all there, because as I've just said, primary school students only have the one teacher for the whole year. So remind the teachers and remind the principal when you're asking for that information. Well, the teacher's already done the lesson plan. It's part of the requirement. Okay, so how hard is it to note that down of the content that's being taught and send me that exact content that you taught my child? That's how easy it is to start rattling their cages. And if you don't get the result, okay, and this is where we need to escalate it. On the Leave Our Kids Alone site for New South Wales, Victoria, and South Australia, you will find specific guidance for that state with the links to. Now, there's a strategy involved in this, Nathan. You need to obviously complain and raise your concerns to the schools with that accompanying letter on the website that opts your child out. That accompanying letter states the ICCPR section 18.4, and I'll just read that out to you just to remind you. Okay, there's some people will be aware of this, there's some people won't be. The ICCPR Article 18, Section 4. Now, Australia is a signatory to this. Okay, Article 18, Section 4 of the ICCPR states the states parties to the present covenant undertake to have the respect for the liberty of parents and, when applicable, legal guardians, to ensure the religious and moral education in conformity of their children in conformity with their own convictions. That's pretty black and white, Nathan. That's
Mm-hmm.
pretty black and white. Now, the ICCPR has been scheduled into the Australian Human Rights Commission Act 1986. It's federal legislation. So that means that any breach of any article of the ICCPR is in breach of federal legislation. That is in that letter. All you've got to do, it's on the website, download it, print it out, sign it, okay? Hand it over to your principal or teacher. That's the first step after you've sent off your email to the school. Then the education department, you'll get a generic BS response back from the education department, not the point. The strategy here is to make sure you follow all the steps playing by their rules, all right? The second part of that, Nathan, is then to make a formal complaint to if you're in Victoria, it's the VIT, the Victorian Institute of Teaching. They're the governing body for teachers in the state. Every state has a different governing body. The link to send off your complaint, all you got to do is click the link. Okay, it's already there for you. I've written it up for you. Click the link and make a complaint, a formal complaint against the teacher after numerous requests and requirements to send me the curriculum and the content that you're teaching my child. This has been ignored and this has been denied. Make your formal complaint to the VIT. Then you make a complaint to the Victorian Curriculum Assessment Authority or the governing body in each state. South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales are written up. Then after that, you send your complaint off to the Ombudsman. That is the correct way, the effective way to start pushing back against this.
Yeah. Play by their rules. Yeah.
Well, sometimes you've got to play in the mud with the pigs, Nathan. You know, you've got to get dirty. And by playing by all their rules doesn't give them any leeway to wiggle out of it. Gives them no wiggle room, okay? Because you've played by their rules, okay? You've voiced your concerns and you put it forward, and you're still not doing anything. Now, I know for a fact the VIT down here in Victoria, the Victorian Institute of Teaching, they have a very stringent legal department, and where they get a complaint about a teacher, they have to investigate it. They're duty bound to investigate it, okay? Now, if your complaint is, I've asked for the curriculum a number of times, I'm fobbed off, I'm given a link to a website that doesn't really tell me anything, that's a legitimate concern and a legitimate point to raise with the VIT.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay? Because to me, you and I, Nathan, and the other people listening, is if you're not providing the content that I'm asking for, you must be hiding something. What are you hiding? What are you hiding? You know, gee whiz, from my time in schools, and you'll probably be able to, schools, parents, please, for the love of God, hear me on this. I've witnessed this for 15 years when I was in the school system. Now I preface this by saying there are some good teachers out there. Absolutely there are. But the majority aren't good. They're either incompetent, they look at it as just a job. I'm sorry, you're responsible for teaching children and educating children. This is not just a job. It should really be considered an essential service, Nathan. Really, it should be. Because you're molding the minds and you're influencing young people. Gee whiz, if that's not an essential service and the utmost importance put on that, but we all know schools are indoctrination camps these days. Parents and people in general, we have a belief, especially when we're putting our children into the trust of certain people. We have a belief that I'm handing my child over, because that's what you're doing every day. You're handing your child over to the state. I'm handing my child over to this group of people with the full belief in my heart that they are going to do the right thing by my child. That's not the case. please hear me on this. I've seen it for 15 years. You would have sat in staff rooms as well too, Nathan, where you've raised your eyes at many sort of teachers and their views on things and the way they've treated children as well too. I'm going to give you an example of that in a moment. But the teachers, and I'm telling you this now, most teachers will throw your child under the bus to save their own job and push the agenda that they're told to push. Make no mistake. And they will smile and lie to your face. And, really, how well do you know your teacher? You see them, once a day, maybe for 30 seconds. Oh, hello, how are you? And for half an hour at a parent teacher interview once a term,
Mm.
where of course they're going to smile and be nice and not give you any suspicion that they're indoctrinating your child. Start to ask more questions and start to firmly understand that schools these days are indoctrination camps. They're not schools, especially with this agenda. Now, I know I'm going on a bit now. The argument coming back from the radical left is, well, if you don't teach about gender identity, we need to teach that because we need to make the trans children feel included.
That's right.
That's an
Mm.
absolute bullshit argument.
Mm.
Show me the data. Show me the data where if gender theory in schools isn't taught, it disadvantages any trans child. And the only reason there's trans children is because of, and the numbers are increasing all the time, Nathan, the numbers are increasing because of the indoctrination and the propaganda that they receive in the daycare centres right from inception. That's the only reason, because these thoughts were put into an innocent child's mind by some creepy grooming adult. That's exactly a bit harsh, Craig. No, this is where we're at now, Nathan. We've got to call a spade a spade.
Mm.
So show me the data where not teaching gender theory excludes children that have been confused and think that they're the opposite sex or non-binary or 50,000 different pronouns every day. There's no data to say that, okay? And if it's a case of, everyone needs to feel safe and included, how about you take a leaf out of one of the Autism Foundation's books? They've got a great slogan, it's okay to be different. It's okay to be different. If we gave that as a message, that boy over there likes to play with dolls, that's okay. It's okay to be different. He's cool. Not hurting
Mm.
anyone. That girl over there likes to play with trucks and dress in pants and things like that. That's cool. No worries. It's okay to be different. I mean, how simple is that?
Mm. Common sense.
How simple is that?
Mm.
There's no need to teach kids that they can be stuck in the wrong body and all this nonsense.
Mm.
If you want to disagree with me, there's many child psychologists from around the country. Claire Rose, just another one that spoke out recently about the harmful effects teaching gender theory, radical gender theory, on primary school age children causes. It's well documented.
Mm.
When I was in schools, Nathan, we used to run the programs I used to run were 8-week programs. And one of the, and I still do it today with the homeschool kids. And it was great to watch. One of the, you teach them how to do a palm strike, and every week we work on the palm strikes. On the last day of the program, they break a martial arts board with their bare hands. Okay. Massively empowering for the students. And, mate, it's one of the most priceless memories I have, and I still do it today. One of the most priceless situations is to the look on the child's face when they stand in front of the board, and then when they've broken the board, the look of, oh, wow, I just did that. It is so empowering for the child to do that. Well, anyway, one of the schools I was with, they actually invited the parents along. They actually ran that very well, even though the principal of that school was a woke activist snowflake, but I won't go into that.
Mm.
I'll sue me if you will. There were some good teachers there. One I'm still in contact with still today, actually. I spoke to that gentleman on the phone earlier on. just to confirm that the situation with teachers submitting their lesson plans was still the same, and it is. At the end of that program, this one mother come along to most of the sessions, and all of the parents were invited to the last day. And this one young girl who didn't have much self-esteem, but over the 8 weeks, I slowly watched her confidence build up and grow. And anyway, cut a long story short and get to the punchline, Craig, it's at the end of there'll be people watching going, get on with it, mate. It's like, just, okay. Not everything has to be in bite-sized chunks. Just a lot of context needs to be added as well too. Another story for another time. Don't get me started on that one. The mother and the daughter come up to me afterwards. And she said, Craig, I want to just thank you because I forget the young girl's name. She comes home every week and says, how much she learned and how much it's helping her confidence. And it's just really humbling to get that advice back. She goes, I just want to know your opinion and your thoughts on climate change. And I sort of rolled my eyes. This was back in 2018, 2019. I did that program down at that school. I said, yeah, why? What about it? She said, well, I forget the young girl's name. She said she's very anxious and having a lot of doubts about getting older and raising a family and having children because they might not have a world to live in.
Oh, Jesus.
This is the fear these bastards struck into these children over climate change, mate. To have a girl in year 9 having those anxious thoughts about climate change because these activist ninny teachers want to push this envelope. Another example was I walked past a composite grade of grade 3 and 4 students one day. I was half a day at this school, and my program finished a bit early before recess. I was walking through the corridor. Double door partitions are open. Nitwit teacher teaching about climate change. The last thing she said to these students, grade 3 and 4, was if we don't do anything about the climate in the next 12 years, we're all doomed. The grade 3 and 4-year-olds, mate. I did actually run into that teacher in the staff room at recess, and we ended up having a rather robust discussion about it, and lo and behold, I was never invited back to that school. What a
I
surprise.
bet. Never surprised. I remember in grade 5, Craig, I watched that movie by Al Gore, The Inconvenient Truth, and I came home and said, Mum and Dad, we're going to be all underwater by 2030. I think that was the 2030 agenda being pushed in that particular movie. And I remember buying into a little bit of that fear in grade 5, and then didn't really think much of it after that. Was busy playing sports, chasing girls, doing all the things. Circle right back, and you go, hang on a minute. They tried to plant that in us back when I was in grade 5, only in 2005. And that was Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth documentary movie he did on also climate change.
Yeah, I
Remember that?
know.
Yeah.
I do remember it, mate. It was
Yeah.
the you could actually put it in the DVD section under comedy.
Yeah, you
Uh,
could. Yeah.
well, you could.
Yeah.
Well, you should actually.
I think he went into saying like Sri Lanka will be underwater, there'll be no more India, Australia will be gone. It's like
You know,
underwater, you
that was
reckon?
both of the polar caps will melt by 2020.
That's it. That's it. And then he said something about 2030 as well. And that was all pushing what they're pushing now. And, it was insane. And I bought into a bit of that, though. I was like, well, okay, we're underwater.
Yeah, but you do, Nathan, because when you go to school, you've got this belief as a child that the teachers are telling you the truth,
100%.
and they play on that.
Yeah.
And you've got these whole bunch of children now, mate. We've got a big job ahead of us because the
Agreed.
first thing we need to do is stop this gender theory being taught in schools.
That's the first step.
Then what we have to do is unindoctrinate these poor children that are led to believe that this is normal.
Yeah, fuck.
Parents, it is not normal for anyone to think that they have been born in the wrong body. That is not normal. What? You're going to be that arrogant, you're going to argue with the creator, are you? You're that arrogant. You're going to argue with the creator putting that soul in that body it was designed to be in.
Yeah.
The rest of it is a mental, with all due respect, and this is not a derogatory statement, it's just a fact and an observation and stating what is fact. It's a mental illness, Nathan.
Yeah, I agree.
It used to be classed as a mental illness 20 years ago.
Mm.
All these activists have weaseled their way into power, weaseled their way into the school system, weaseled their way into academia, weaseled their way in the media, weaseled their way into government, and this is the end result that you're seeing now.
Yep.
So this is what you're up
100%.
against. Now, fight fire with fire, maybe. Start educating your children to say, hey, school's not the place you think it is. Okay, but then I suppose then you're going to have the battle of trying to get them there if you're sort of degrading the school, trying to then get your kids to school. So it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes it's a very tight rope. But we've got 13 and 40-year-old, 14-year-olds saying to their parents, "Oh no, but isn't this all normal?" Oh,
Yeah.
the teacher told me at school that you wouldn't understand it and you are old-fashioned. Well, that's the way things are now, mum and dad. No, it's not. Children, please listen to me. And if you got kids at home and they're not listening to you, maybe just freeze on this bit, okay? Kids, I say this with much respect and love. I've seen what the system has done to you. Even teaching you radical gender theory and making you believe that you can be stuck in the wrong body, which is a lie. Your school is lying to you and your teachers are lying to you. Radical gender theory should not be part of your curriculum. I've been a youth worker for 20 years, kids. I've seen what the system has done to you. The system does you no favors. It doesn't allow you to flourish. It doesn't allow you to explore your full potential. Yeah, sure, they will, dance around issues and make a song and dance and tell you you're fabulous and you can be whatever you want and blah, blah. It's a false reality they paint for you.
Hmm.
So please listen to me, kids. Your school is taking your parents for granted. Your school is disrespecting you, lying to you, and gaslighting you. Please take it from me, kids. Start listening to your parents on this and stop ignoring these teachers who are bullying you. They're bullying you into accepting an ideology that is based on zero facts.
Here, here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes me sad, mate, to
Mm.
see, and no wonder so many kids have got so many mental health issues because they go to school and you know what it's like growing up. You're confused with your identity. You're trying to figure out where you fit in with your peers and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
You've got this extra bullshit put on top.
Mm.
No wonder our kids are confused and their minds all over the place and they're suffering mental health issues all over the place because these bastards in schools are confusing them even more than what they should be.
Yeah. And then throw in there teaching them things that they don't need. Throw in there putting these meds in kids that don't really need them, giving them these labels of ADHD, ADD, mate. That stuff really rolls me up. Then you've got so much going on in that space too. It's not just that. There's underlying issues beyond just that, and like that Ritalin stuff, mate. That used to roll me right up, and it still does now. And even the no hat no play thing, putting sunscreen on them, all of that is all the same ideology, same fear, same bullshit.
Yeah, it's just as soon as I get into school, it's fear, fear,
Your
fear,
fear.
fear, fear plugged into them.
Yeah. Don't run there. Don't walk over that hill. Don't. Oh, we must walk here. Don't run there. Raise your hand. Oh, you must ask to go to the toilet. I'm just gonna leave. Oh no. Then you get a bloody detention for just walking out, going to the toilet, getting a drink. Like there's so many rules and regulations. And you grow up in life and you look at post 2020 rules and regulations, following signs, all this bullshit. You're just like a little robot in school being programmed to obey authority.
Yeah, correct. School's about a whole bunch of different opinions, okay, and flourishing that in children as well too, but not to the detriment of other people and not to
Yeah.
the detriment of themselves. Because where this ends up, and this is what a lot of parents aren't. Sorry, I'm just gone off on a side issue
So
now.
I brought it up too.
Yeah. No, I'm going to take it back.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah,
mate.
okay. Yep, go on.
I hear this a lot. And it's, oh, I'm the parent of a trans child and you don't know what it's like. With all due love and respect, you've been lied to.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you accentuate this out, it goes from your child identifying as I'm stuck in the wrong body to when that child's a bit older, then putting them on the cross sex hormones and the puberty
That's
blockers,
right. Yep.
then leading to body altering surgery. Now, the parents that go along to that initial GP appointment, if they get one, that's if it's not hidden by the school and your child comes home one day after being groomed by the school for 6 to 12 months. So, oh, by the way, I'm now Mary. Used to be Michael, and you need to stop dead naming me and go by my pronouns. Otherwise, you're abusing me.
Or discriminating against me. Yeah.
Yeah, they get coached on what to say.
They do.
Now,
Yeah.
a lot of these parents will go to these clinicians and go to these, and they get told a lie.
Mm,
And they don't ask what are the side effects of putting my child on these cross-sex hormones and puberty blockers? They're lied to though by these physicians. They're told, oh no, the effects are reversible. No, they're not.
no.
No, they're not. And you want to be experimenting with drugs that are completely going to throw the chemical imbalance of a young developing body completely out of whack, which then in turn affects their mental state, is going to impair their mental state anyway. It exacerbates that even more.
Yep.
They actually think that they're doing the right thing
Yeah, they
because they're
do.
told if they don't affirm their child's gender, then that's child abuse and the child is more likely to commit suicide. That's a lie. That is a lie. There's been numerous studies, and you can find a couple of these studies on the Leave Our Kids Alone site. There's been numerous studies to show that the risk of suicide and mental health actually increases after gender affirming care. And I hate using that saying because there's nothing care about it. And the stats show that most people, when they get to their mid-20s, grow out of it and realize the error of their ways and that they were actually, making a mistake.
Yeah.
Now you've got to look at Chloe Cole. You've got to look at all these detransitioners who are tried to be silenced. Now, why would you try to silence someone who's trying to tell other children of the dangers and the brainwashing and the lies that they're being told? These people are tried to be silenced. Doesn't that raise a red flag for
Yeah.
people?
Mm, mm.
It just is. It just, part of the frustration I have, Nathan, is still parents are scared.
That's fear too.
Scared of your child getting repercussions. I'm telling you this now, all right? If a teacher bullies your child in any way possible, that's grounds for instant dismissal
Yep.
or at least instant suspension pending an investigation. Now, all you've got to do is inform the relevant body that oversees the teachers, the relevant governing body. Okay, for example, here in Victoria, it's the VIT, the Victorian Institute of Teaching. Send a formal complaint that your child was bullied because they didn't use someone's pronouns or they didn't agree with gender theory or you've raised. See, a lot of parents are worried about, well, if I speak up and push back, then my child will be bullied.
Yeah.
Okay, your child's being bullied anyway. That's just in a different way.
Yeah,
Your
that's true
child's
too.
being bullied and gaslit into accepting this ideology, and you're just standing back accepting it because you're too scared. With all love and respect, you're going to need to find something. This is your child. It is your child's mind that they are messing with. And you're okay with it because you might be get labeled a bigot or a homophobe by the people from the left. That's sort of the only argument they really have. They don't have any logical arguments. It's all based on fear and all based on abuse and name calling. If you don't, what's next, Nathan? First, it was about just acceptance. As we accept you, always did. Not always did, but the majority of the population now accepts you. And when I say the majority, we don't care. Why have you got to tell our kids about it? Why have you got to
Exactly.
enforce it onto our kids?
Mm.
Stop.
Mm. Not to
Because
make up their own minds.
I tell you this now, and there's a lot of parents that take their kids out and homeschool their
There's a
children.
lot of that going on at the moment.
That's okay, and that's fine. That helps your child, but does it? Okay. If we don't get this, I'll explain what I mean. It's only helping your child in one regard, not overall. You might have a daughter, and the incidents of this are gaining all the time, where we've got biological young boys competing against girls in girls' sport. And that's only going to get worse if we don't stop this gender theory being taught in the kindergartens, in the school system, in the daycare centres, because there'll be more and more boys identifying as girls that are going to want to play sport against you're going to have biological boys, and there'll be parents out there that are already witness to this and already have this happen to their children. Well, that's only going to increase if we don't get this stopped, because trace any problem back to the source, and the exact source and the exact problem and the reason why so many young children are identifying as the opposite sex now is because of the brainwashing they're receiving in the school curriculum and the daycare centres, etc. Those numbers are only going to increase. So homeschooling your kids, great. Then they want to play sport. They're going to be playing sport as a young girl against biological boys and girls. I've got two very dear friends of mine. Their 10-year-old daughter plays in a basketball competition. Now, as you know, mate, basketball has only 5 on the court at any one time. One team has 2 biological boys playing against the girls.
Yeah.
They dominate every game. They intimidate the other girls. They physically stronger and hurting the other girls, and they're uncomfortable. But that's okay, because it's good for those 1 or 2 young boys who are identifying as girls' self-esteem, to the detriment of every other girl that plays against them. But apparently that's inclusion and diversity, Nathan.
I don't know what to say to that. I haven't got any words for that. It's just rubbish.
You know, but then but the problem with that is, all these boards of these competitions, once again,
Allow it
have
to
been
happen.
because they've been infiltrated by these far left lunatics
Mm.
who go with life. They leave their hair in the air, their head in the air, arty farty, airy fairy, full of emotion. Mate, it's criminal what is happening.
It is.
So homeschooling your child, the point I'm making around that, Nathan, is homeschooling your child's fantastic, but it's only easing part of the problem.
Yeah.
You just got to look at the Women's Rugby League Association over in New Zealand finally put a ban to biological men playing in that competition,
Good to see.
and rightly so. I mean, rugby, that's the last sport you'd want to be playing as a woman against a biological male.
100%.
So they've seen the error of their ways, and they've backflipped and reversed, and they put a ban on that now.
Mm.
There's been a blanket ban. The AFL, it's going to be interesting, mate. The AFL are going to be up against it, because there's going to be more and more. Now, they've got a ban at the moment, but for how much longer?
Yeah, they're pretty woke anyway.
Well, mate, they're woke as hell, the
Yeah.
AFL. Gee whiz.
Marxism and all that going on. Yeah. They push all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they do, mate. But, I was just a brief overview of. I mean, we could be on here for another 3 hours,
We
mate,
could be. Could be
and
a
not even
yeah.
scratch the surface.
Mm.
Please don't think this is a problem it's not of monumental significance. Ladies and gentlemen, please, your
Mm.
children are being used as guinea pigs. You just got to look at the CAS review. There's no credible long-term data of the side effects of these puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones. What there is irrefutable data on is that young children primary school age children should not be taught this content because it is harmful, according to many top child psychologists from around the country. What is recorded as data and what is credible is that even after receiving gender affirming care and the body mutilating surgery, it actually increases the likelihood of mental health issues and also suicide. It's another lie.
Mm.
So I'm telling you this now, guys. We are 2 to 3 years off this being irreversible.
Mm.
This is where we're at now. We're not trying to be dramatic, but we are literally at the gates of hell. And it's the gates of woke hell because they are hell bent on keeping this education in the school curriculum and using schools as some sort of sick, perverted recruitment ground to recruit young, innocent children into the woke ideology.
Mm. Well
It sounds
said.
a bit harsh. Yeah, no, it's
Well said.
100%
Well said. Yeah.
100% spot on, mate.
Mm.
And the lefty activists, there's another wave coming for me, Nathan. I'll just fill you in.
Mm.
There's nothing that you can call me that I haven't been called in the last 6 years or the last 50 years, really. But, there's nothing you can call me. Bigot, homophobe, blah, 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 all the rest of it. You're quite boring. Okay? So go away. You do you. We don't care who you're bonking and we don't care what your sexual preference is. Go away, you do you. Stop screaming and demanding at us like petulant little snotty-nosed children for us, the majority of us, to adopt your ideology and especially stay away from our kids with it. I don't know what part you groomers are stuck on, but that's the message that needs to be sent from now on.
Agreed. Yeah. To sum it all up, mate, well, really awesome chat here. To sum it all up, parents can follow that step-by-step process. Is there anything else that they can do in the short term?
Yeah, so in the short term is request the specific lesson plans if your children are still in school. But you've still got to be pushing back, even if you homeschool your kids, just for, if not, you might have a daughter that you don't want them playing against a biological boy now, do you?
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's just wrong. You don't want to be a woman in your own private space where a fully grown biological male is getting undressed in front of you and getting their rocks off doing so.
Yeah.
So, first of all, ask for that specific curriculum. And like I said, if it's in primary school, they'll have it all there anyway. Teachers have to write lesson plans and they need to be submitted before the start of the term. They will have them there, all the content taught. Also ask for the content from any third-party providers as well too. They have to give it to you. If they don't, then take the steps to make those formal complaints. Excuse me. If you do need some guidance, ladies and gentlemen, please hit me up with an email at info@leaveourkidsalone. That contact is on the website as well too, and I will help guide you through it as well too, just like I'm guiding a couple of parents through with some email correspondence that the schools are coming back with now. So, please, and you'll testify to this as well too, Nathan, please don't look at it like, oh, here's just someone who's a youth worker, he's got an axe to grind with the education department. You're damn right I've got an axe to grind with the education department because you abuse our children. You use our children as guinea pigs, all under the banner of diversity and inclusion. And I'll fight to protect our children. The sad part about it is I fight harder than some parents do, which is sad, which is really sad. This problem is not going to go away and we can't ignore it going away. It's up to our generation right now to do something about it, because if we don't, that's it for humanity.
Yep.
Humanity will think it is normal to be stuck in the wrong body. Humanity will think it is normal for young children to get body altering surgery. I'm sorry, but that's not normal. There is nothing normal about that whatsoever. So please, I'm here. That's why I'm here, guys. Hit me up with an email, info at Leave Our Kids Alone, and I will happily help guide you through it. Okay.
Yeah.
And please send me in any screenshots
Jesus.
from books or anything else that your child is asked to be taught. Please send them in so I can put it out there as further weight of evidence. Your anonymity, if you wish to remain anonymous, from where the school come from and who you are, absolutely. But just get me the content to put out there because we need further evidence, further weight of evidence.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Nathan. You're a bloody champion, mate. Thank you for everyone who has watched this and shared this around. Please give this a share and start having conversations. And if you watch this and want to have a conversation about with me, even if you are one of the far left activists, please hit me up. That's if you can have a conversation without calling me a bigot or a homophobe or having a panic attack after 5 minutes.
Thank you very much for all you've shared today, Craig. I appreciate it. Appreciate the update. And yeah, for those who have listened and watched, thank you for tuning in with an open mind and an open heart. And I hope we've given you some information and some context to at least consider and to take action on. So thank you once again, Craig, for all that you're doing and the time and energy that you put into this, mate. I know you have a life outside of all this as well. I've gotten to know you for the last few years. Maybe you don't anymore, but yeah.
My own business is even suffering because of this, Nathan,
Yeah,
and
okay.
that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
And just on the back of that, just to finish off, this pro campaign, we need more cornflakes, we need more flyers. I need to get to different parts of the country. It all takes money.
Yeah.
So there's a donation button on the website. Any donations gratefully accepted because one of the things that's really hamstringing me at the moment is the lack of funds available to get things done that I'd like to get done.
Yeah. Appreciate it. We'll put links to all that in the show notes, mate. Appreciate all that you're doing. And yeah, thank you for everyone for listening and watching wherever in the world you are. Craig will be back on before the end of the year for another update. So we'll stay tuned for that. We'll talk to you all again soon. Cheers. Oh, stop recording. Come on, Nath. Stop